Glenn, and welcome to another episode of FMF. Today we got a special guest, man. She could be anywhere in the world, but, she comes all the way from Bermuda, a fashion model. I mean, it's been all around the world. Yeah, it's been all around the world. We have Calaís Robinson, y'all. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi. Hey, Mike. It's nice to be here with you.
Likewise. So, Calaís, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and, where it all originated from.
So, wow, I came here for opportunity. I came from a very small island, and I had big dreams. My imagination just soared as a little kid, and I just followed that. And I always wanted to see what this world had for me and what this world had for us all. So I left Bermuda at a very young age. I went to college and I studied psychology, had one foot in entertainment, one foot in psychology. And then I merged myself over here into Los Angeles, where I've merged both psychology and entertainment together to become what I call the mind edit, which is how I assist myself first and then others into getting more of what they want out of life. It's about putting their truth on the table and then making decisions, conscious decisions based on that truth instead of the lies that they've been telling themselves.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much it.
So coming all the way from Bermuda, now how was that transition coming from Bermuda, moving to LA, and how has that impacted your, your professional career?
Well, the transition from Bermuda all the way to America first, I went by way of Alabama, then Atlanta. It was a bit of a culture shock. Bermuda is 21 miles long, 1 mile wide. So everybody pretty much knew each other. Or if you didn't know each other, you knew somebody that knew each other. So it was like everybody was like one happy big family. And so coming to America, it was a culture shock because I just noticed how there were so many people everywhere, but nobody knew anyone really.
Right.
And no one was really friendly. Like they always told us in college that we were like, why y'all girls are so friendly? But that's how we grew up. Like at home, we would literally hitchhike with whoever going home.
Right.
We slept with our windows open, doors were unlocked. It's just a different environment. So culturally speaking, it was a little bit getting used to in a way. But professionally, because I came so young and I came straight out of high school, I really don't know the difference, between professionally from Bermuda versus America.
Wow. So you mentioned, coming from Bermuda and going to college. You went to college in Alabama. You said Alabama A&M?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. And you studied, I believe you said, I was looking at your information, psychology, right?
Yes.
So with that being said, how was going to Alabama, how did that shape your self-awareness of the power of the mind?
Well, I guess for me, for being in Alabama doing more from the books standpoint, from learning about it in school, doing the research papers, and just dealing and talking to my professors about that. So from a scholastic point of view, that shaped my mind there. But the best way that my mind was shaped for this particular field was from being in the field,
Right.
being around people, going into scenarios that I wanted, also being exposed to scenarios I didn't want, and seeing that happen to my friends and family and people all over the world. That was where my real teaching came, because there's book smarts and then there's street smarts.
Right.
So a little bit of both.
Gotcha.
I guess made me.
Yeah. So when I was looking into the background of the whole mind edit concept, can you explain to me what you mean by architecting your own reality? Because that's something that stood out to me when I was reading your bio. What do you mean by architecting your own reality?
So creating your own reality, architecting your own reality, sculpting your own reality. We are the creators of our world. So I look at it as a painter, a sculptor, someone that is a creator that molds things together. That's what we're doing to our lives every single day. And we do that through how we feel and what we think. So that's really where the root of it comes from. So how we think creates how we feel. How we feel creates what we say, and what we say creates what happens.
Right. So how can individuals use this concept of mind editing into your everyday practical life?
Mm-hmm. Well, the funny thing about it is that you're doing it whether you realize it or not. It's like gravity. Whether you believe in it or not, you're still gonna fall if you jump off of a 20-foot building, right? It's one of those things that the more you're aware of it, the easier your life becomes, because then you can intentionally direct things into your life that you want versus what you don't want. So your question is, how do we put it inside our
Well,
lives?
well, well let me change. Let me change the question. First, let me back up a little bit. What exactly is mind editing? Let me start there first.
So mind editing is intentionally putting your truth on the table and making decisions based on that truth instead of the lies that we've been telling ourselves. So it's taking your life by the reins and really directing it like a horse, and really directing which way you want to turn. So mind editing is intentionally, consciously focusing on what you do want versus what you don't want.
Wow,
That's pretty much it.
so
Yeah.
so so when you how do you put this in your practice in your daily life? So with that being said, how would one like myself be able to explore mind editing, and how would I use that in my daily routine?
So one of the things that I talk about is this 90-10 rule. So 90-10 rule is by you assess your day and you look at your day from a standpoint of, am I getting things that I want, or am I getting things that I don't want? So there are aligned moments and there is unaligned moments in your day. So what you have to do is just look at your day and say, okay, 90% of my day is out of alignment, and only 10% of my day is in contrast. Because when we came here to this world, we intentionally came to live 90% of our day in alignment and only 10% of our day in contrast. But the world, we got it flip-flopped, it's upside down. Most of us live 90% of our day in contrast and 10% of our day in alignment. And when we get alignment, we're surprised. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. When it's actually supposed to be the other way around. You're supposed to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get it.
Right.
And so we've got it like flip-flopped, you know? And so what one of the things I did was I looked at my day from a standpoint of looking at what are my percentages. And so now, as I went through my day, I realized, oh, wow, well, today, instead of 90% in contrast, I only have 70. And then, oh, 50-50. And then after 50, it was 40-60. So I started recognizing that my numbers started shifting. But that really takes a lot of, we have to now start being aware of how we feel. So the first step is to be aware of how we feel. A lot of our feelings in life have been muted.
Right.
We have we're unattached to how we feel because when we were young, as a little kid, we've been trained away from ourselves being important.
Right.
when we're young, what happens is our caregivers or our family members, our mother and father, when we do something that we love, they applaud us. And when
Right.
we do something, right, when we do something that they don't love, they scold us,
Right.
how dare you? So that teaches us as a kid that we're not important to ourselves. You're more important than I am. So I have to now serve you over myself. And so that teaches us away from our guidance, our power, our source, our God. It teaches us to then put everybody in front of us. And so we go through life that way as a kid. And that's why you see kids when they're really young and they're like, no, I don't want to do that. Like they're
Right.
so bold about it until the adults scold them into submission, sometimes beats them into submission. It's like the life of a child gets sucked out of us. And we
Trust me,
just
I know.
conform to adulthood.
Right. Trust me, I know.
So,
I got grandparents from the South, so that's kind of how it happens. That feeling of the scolding to get you in shape. I relate.
yes, yes, it does. And when you think about that, we have to remember back to the time before that happened, if you can. And that's what we got to capture as adults. We've got to capture that time where we our imagination ran wild, and we put ourselves first, and we had fun with our moments.
Right.
And things weren't too serious. They were important. They're important things to focus on, but to have this seriousness of life that's what we have to go back to capture. Do you remember when you felt that back then?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, how long did it take you to come up with the whole mind edit concept, like, and really put it in motion?
So it I've been doing it all my life. I just didn't have a name for it. So I would always mind edit my friends, family, strangers, and they would always say, you should write a book, you got to do a TV show, or you should speak, because it's I have a way of delivering information that's really easy for listeners to understand when they're ready to hear it, and
Right.
it really can change their lives. So I've been doing it for quite some time, but in the last year or two, I've been formulating into this concept. I got the title, and I'm just now developing it and going out into the world to speak about it.
That's awesome. So what has been some of the biggest challenges of creating the whole mind edit concept, and what did you do to overcome the challenge?
Mm. So what's so interesting about this mind edit concept? It came pretty easy. It was ease and flow. It feels like the next logical step as I evolve in it, and it's just something that just works. In my life in general with challenges, though, I have had things that have came up, and this is what I talk about in the mind edit. There's a few things that I do to feel better. These three powerful things that I do when I don't feel great. There's a surge of appreciation, and that's when you pop off by saying the things that you love. When you get into appreciation, it literally softens the thoughts around the hardened subject that you're not feeling great about. And then that allows that subject to then flow and foster into your life. And it allows the things that you want in. So I do a surge of appreciation. I meditate. That's number two. And meditation is when you quiet your thoughts so that you can allow the truth from your inner source and your inner being speak to you so you can hear answers, and then you know what to do next. And
Right.
then if all else fails, I take a nap. And that will always soften our thoughts, right? Wake up and you feel better.
Oh my God, that is funny. But no, that is so
Right?
true. That's funny.
It's so true. And the reason why that is because and also sleeping at night. Because every night we go to bed and we wake up first thing in the morning, right? So When you wake up first thing in the morning, that is your first opportunity to grab, to snatch new powerful feeling thoughts, like those good feeling thoughts. You snatch those when you wake up in the morning as best you can, because a lot of times the reason why we have cycles of suffering in the world is because we carry that from one day to the next. We go to bed with those thoughts and those feelings that don't feel great, and we wake up in the morning and we go back and we grab those old thoughts and feelings and we bring them into our today, and we carry that on, and the momentum starts. And so that turns into the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, the next century.
Right.
And that's literally how we create those cycles of suffering, which I know suffering is the greatest addiction that we have in the human race. But it's so, we don't know about it because everyone's doing it. So it lies under the radar.
Right. That's crazy. So,
Mm-hmm.
so what kind of impact do you want the whole Mind Edit brand to just have on the people as a whole?
So the impact that the Mind Edit brand has on people as a whole is the fact that it awakens you to a new life. It's going to awaken you to something that you always wanted, that you knew was there, but you didn't really understand how you were creating what you didn't want. So it allows everyone to now have an opportunity to truly change with the understanding of how to change.
Wow, that's crazy.
Kind of like how the microwave did for food, even though I don't use a microwave.
Yeah. That's
Or
funny.
Steve Jobs did for the computer. So it's going to be a pre-Mind Edit and a post-Mind Edit
Wow, that's
option.
awesome. So what are the future plans with Mind Edit? Like, do you have any like speaking engagements coming up to be able to spread the word about the whole Mind Edit concept?
Yeah, so there's some things happening. Oh yes.
I want to know what the things are.
I'm in talks with a TV show right now,
Really?
which is, yeah, which coming up this week, we're going to have a conversation about that. Initially it was a podcast, but now that has evolved into a TV show, which was ultimately my goal, because that's where you can affect the most and reach out to the most amount of people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy. So, what are some personal practices of your routine? Like, how do you maintain your whole mental clarity for yourself?
So I'm very aware and very conscious of it. So some of the things that I do is I do up post-it notes or reminders on my phone, because we have to know that where we are right now is a result of having the momentum prior to. So think of it like this. Think of it like a car at the bottom of the hill. You know, if you're got a car and you're at the top of the hill and you just kind of nudge the car, but you run around real quickly and you stop it. It's much easier to stop the car there than to be at the bottom of the hill and to stop it then. It just plows you over, right? It's too much momentum. So for me, it's about slowing down that momentum, the momentum of thoughts that I'm creating. And but first of all, just to even understand that I'm doing it, because a lot of people want to blame other people and other things for where they are, and that's where the root of suffering comes from. Because if I blame you for me, for where my life is, then I need you to change so that I can feel better or have a better opportunity in life. And good luck with that, because that means that you need a whole bunch of people changing so you can just be okay.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really about us really knowing that we are powerful and we can alter our lives and shift our lives, and we deserve that. We deserve to be able to be here on this planet and to experience all the beautiful things that are here.
Wow, that's awesome. So, So what advice do you have for any upcoming entrepreneurs in this space that want to build something out like you've done with yourself?
Well, the first thing is you first have to, once again, believe it. You have to know. So how do we create? There's two things that have to happen in order for a manifestation. First, you have to desire it, and then you have to believe it. Most of us desire things, but we don't believe it will happen for us. So we split our energy. And in splitting our energy, it becomes counterproductive. So before any action takes place, you have to first know that you're able to achieve it.
Right.
Then vibrationally, you manifest it. After you vibrationally manifest it by having the desire and the belief and the knowing, then action comes from that, but only inspired action. Struggle action, you don't want. We want to avoid struggle action because it's counterproductive. You always get what you don't want in struggle action. So unless you have that surge and that desire that actually pulls you like wild horses, like, oh, I got to do this, I would stop. I would, until you have that, in order to make sure that what you're creating is going to be in your best interest.
So when you're thinking of stuff and you're manifesting it in your mind, how do you know when it's that light bulb moment when you're on to something? You know what I mean? Like when does that validation kick in to know that this has fully manifested to something?
Right. It will manifest to something. It's almost like you become your own fortune teller. You know, you can start telling your future just by how you feel. So there's two ways a thought enters. You can receive a thought and think a thought. Receiving a thought is when it comes from your source, your God, your inner being.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you receive a thought. And when you think a thought, it comes from somewhere else. So the first distinction that has to happen is you have to know the difference between the two. I look at it like, you know how when you're driving and like you don't have your GPS, but you think you know where you're going and you're like, I think it's left. And then you're
Right,
like, oh, no, 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 it's right. And then
right,
you're like, no, it's left. And then you're like, it's right. Then you're like, you go right. And then you're like, dang, I knew it was left.
right,
That little voice inside of you that's the voice that you have to be aware of. And
right,
so when I was first learning that for myself, that's the voice that I would hold on to as I went through my day to say, I can see the difference between when I think a thought and when I receive a thought. Once you know the difference and you start recognizing you're receiving the thought, it does come with a feeling, and the feeling feels like a yes
right.
inside of you, like a feeling yes.
Yeah, it's like your inner alarm going ding.
Right, right. And it feels tingly, it feels like it's already done.
Right,
You feel it like it's already happened. But that's how we create. You have to feel it as if it's already done in order for it to have happened. So think about when you're cooking food, like when you make dinner. You know, you already thinking and feeling, you're getting the ingredients, you got to think about the chicken, you got to wash it. Some of us wash it. I don't know if
right,
all of us wash it, but I wash it. And
right,
wash the chicken, you season it up, you say, okay, 350 the oven, you put the foil over it. That all is a thought feeling kind of thing. You can think about how it's going to taste and you're just excited to eat. So that's the same thing with everything. We have to bake our ideas in a sense, and then pull it out the oven once it's ready. You know.
right.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So you have such a diverse background. I was, doing some research, and we're talking film, music, fashion on the side, but from the fashion side, you've been a model, can you share with us the things that they don't know about you outside of the mind edit thing? Like, can you tell us about your career in the fashion side and the music side a little bit, just to touch on it?
Yeah, so I've dipped in many sides of the entertainment business. The fashion side was my first side. When I got to America, I started with music videos, so that was fun.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta and I started there. Um, yeah, I remember the first day I went on set for a music video. It was my first day on TV ever, I believe. I was so nervous. Oh my God. It was for Ludacris. And I was so nervous. And they had me dancing on camera. And I was just like, I hid. I literally hid. They were looking for me and I was over it and I missed the shot. I was so nervous. So anyone going into this field know that that is normal.
Wow.
Yeah, but just like with any other thing, you if you continue to do it, it becomes easier and easier as time goes by, and then it becomes like the back of your hand, and you just get out there and you just strike pose.
Yeah, it becomes of the norm when you do it all the time.
Exactly. So anything that you fear or anything that you aren't comfortable with, but you want to do it, then you just have to remind yourself that this is the feeling, the unsettling feeling that you're feeling is actually something that you want. Because if it's the same feeling, then you're always going to get what you got before. So if you want to change what you have before, then the new feeling is going to be different. It's got to be different. And then once you analyze that for yourself and you know, okay, this feeling is here to serve me and it's helping me and it's guiding me to let me know that I'm doing something different than I've always done so that I can get something new that I've always wanted. So that's what I did with the modeling and the music videos. And so
Oh,
now I'm swinging off the chandeliers.
right, right. And you also dabbled into the film side as well.
Yeah, so that turned into commercials, where I've done commercials, I've done some films and TV shows, and that was a whole another beast. It's when I was a model, it was about telling a story from a still shot, which which I actually love. You have to express an emotion from one shot you got. That's it. And you have to make the audience feel something.
Right.
Where with motion picture, it's through moving pictures. So now it's a different element. It's a little different from photography. The photography side of it was came very natural for me. This with the acting, I had to actually go to class and practice. So it was a little different. But like I said, practice makes what? Perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
So you just keep on doing that, and
Right.
then you get to where you got to go.
So,
In addition,
oh no, okay. In addition, what?
I also dabbled into the music side of it,
Mm-hmm.
where a friend of mine, he um, he had a production studio, and they were looking for some music for their film. They had a music director, but there was an issue with it. He had told them they cleared some music and they really didn't clear the music, and that became a whole big thing. And so I was actually with him that day, and he was just telling me the story. So immediately my mind went to fix it, fix it, fix it. And so I just started thinking about people I knew that produced music. And so he gave me the scene. I got on with my people and I just started placing music in his hands that he needed for the scene that he was looking to fulfill. It happened, it worked. And then he called me up one day and said, "Hey, would you like to take over and be, our music director?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't go to school for this, right? Like,
Right.
I don't really even know what I'm doing." He said, "Well, you did a great job." you jumped in and you swam. So I actually took on the job, and I worked with him for a few projects and placed myself in one because I couldn't find the type of song that he needed for this type of scene and the voice. So after I was searching in my mind, I heard a voice say, "You, Calais, you do it." And I got on the call with my producer. I told him the type of track, I told him the scene. I grabbed my friend who was a writer, and we jumped in the studio, we wrote, got the music done. I went in the booth and I sung it. And I sent it to him. And I was waiting and waiting. I was like, this song is like 3 minutes. And it was like 5 minutes, 6. I was like, what is he doing? So I called him, and he was like, Calais, I'm laying back on the bed listening to your song, and I love it. So hence my music career started. And yeah.
That is funny.
So,
Well, Calais, I thank you so much for your time, sharing it, over here with FMF. Hey, can you tell the people all of your social media leads while we have you on the line?
oh, sure. So my Instagram is I am, and that's IAM, Calaís Robinson. That's CALAIS, as in Sam. Robinson is my last name. And on Facebook, it is Calaís Robinson. And on X, it's Calaís Robinson.
Awesome. All right, guys, yes. You heard it first. We had an exclusive with Miss Calaís Robinson. I'm Mike London. Thank you so much for your time, Miss Robinson. And we're out.
We are.